All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to be unpacking a deeply complex and honestly intensely debated Vedic astrological forecast for February 28th, 2026. Now, this specific date doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It actually sits right smack in the middle of a larger 2025 to 2027 cycle that the source material projects to be incredibly tense. So why is that window so volatile? Well, the analysis points to major overlapping planetary shifts that historically line up with massive disruptions. We're talking global power dynamics shifting, economic restructuring, and extreme geopolitical friction. Whether you're a seasoned Jyotish follower or just fascinated by how ancient systems interpret modern global patterns, this forecast maps out a remarkably explosive combination of energies. We're going to break down exactly what the text says about the skies on this highly charged day. So naturally, the first thing we have to ask is, out of that entire decade, what exactly makes February 28th, 2026 so critical? Why flag this exact date as a delicate yet highly explosive node? We aren't just looking at one isolated planetary transit causing friction. It's not just a single spark. The source describes an incredibly rare convergence of energies acting as simultaneous triggers. It's basically a perfect storm of cosmic tension. Imagine multiple massive pressure systems colliding all at once directly over an already fragile geopolitical fault line. That's the level of immense layered pressure we're dealing with here. Section 1. The forces of escalation. Let's look at the planetary alignments. First up, we've got Mars exalted in Capricorn. And as you know, in Vedic astrology, exaltation means the planet is operating at its absolute maximum power. It's uninhibited, highly concentrated energy. Mars here acts as the ultimate trigger for aggressive leadership, fast decisions, and zero-compromise demonstrations of force. In the real-world geopolitical arena, the text translates this directly to rapid military action, hardline border disputes, or preemptive strikes. It represents leaders acting with absolute, unwavering conviction, totally ignoring diplomatic backchannels in favor of immediate kinetic force. This is, essentially, the heavy-duty match that lights the powder keg. Now, throw the moon in Scorpio into that mix. Depending on the exact hour, the moon is traveling through the lunar mansions of Anuradha or Jyeshta, which govern deeply hidden agendas and a real thirst for dominance. This placement brings extreme collective emotions bubbling right up to the surface, sparking impulsive and sometimes vindictive reactions. The forecast warns of a period where traditional diplomacy completely breaks down. Alliances shatter. Instead of open negotiation, the focus drastically shifts to hyper-strategic, secret operations aimed at abruptly reestablishing supremacy. It's easily one of the most intensely militaristic and suspicious lunar positions of the entire month. Then we move over to Jupiter's placement in the Mrigashira space, and the text uses this really evocative phrase to describe it. Someone searches, someone flees. Actually think about that for a second. It perfectly captures this relentless, restless hunting energy. So while you have Mars and the moon driving aggressive, covert military actions, Jupiter adds this frantic search for territorial protection and material expansion. Geopolitically, you can picture nations aggressively hunting for scarce resources, rapidly expanding defensive perimeters, or chasing down strategic advantages, all while their adversaries scramble to evade and regroup. It's an energy of perpetual pursuit that severely destabilizes everything it touches. Adding to the heat, notice the sun sits in Aquarius, specifically within the Purva-Bhadrapada space. The source characterizes this as profoundly radical, incendiary, and extremist energy. It's dual-faced, governed by the ancient symbol of a sacrificial fire. On a global scale, this points to intense, unyielding polarization. We're talking about a climate where leaders might feel compelled to metaphorically burn it all down for what they perceive as a higher cause. It favors sudden structural breaks, aggressive ideological declarations, and deeply divisive public events. It's the exact kind of energy that forces populations to pick a side, turning political discourse into a fiercely burning fire. To accelerate that tension even further, we have Pluto in Shatabisha, also in Aquarius. The analysis considers this one of the absolute most explosive transits of 2026. Why? Because this energy threatens to violently pull back the curtain on deep secrets and clandestine operations. It's specifically tied to military technology and sudden, paradigm-shifting shocks. We are talking about the unexpected unveiling of advanced drone capabilities, sudden cyber warfare tactics that cripple infrastructure overnight, or the dramatic leaking of classified intelligence that just completely upends the geopolitical narrative. It's a moment where deeply hidden operations suddenly see the light of day, catching the entire world off guard. Section 2. The weight of karma and historical cycles. Now, beyond the immediate military tensions, we have to look at the karmic drivers here.
Saturn's position in Pisces points to a severe, inexorable reckoning. It signals the end of grand historical cycles and the collapse of long-standing ideological structures. What does that actually mean for us? Well, it implies that the collective debts of nations, decades of unpunished excesses, systemic corruption, historical injustices, they all get dragged right to the surface. It's the universe effectively serving the bill. This forces accountability on a massive scale, suggesting that old empires or ideologies face an unavoidable collapse if their foundations are flawed. Looking at the volatile karmic axis of this chart is pretty wild. On one side, we have Rahu in Pisces. This placement vastly amplifies dangerous, messianic narratives of destiny. It heavily fuels ideological conflicts, making leaders and populations truly believe they are ordained by fate to take extreme measures. But then, acting as a chaotic counterweight on the other side, we have Ketu in Virgo, which the text says effectively severs rational logic. So you have a massive swelling surge in ideological fanaticism paired directly with deeply irrational, illogical decision-making at the highest levels of power. It's a terrifying recipe for total geopolitical confusion. Actions are driven by blind faith rather than any kind of strategic sense. Section 3, the geopolitical synthesis. Let's see how all of this reaches a climax. The source explicitly rates the overall conflict index for this day as very high. And honestly, when you look at these planets not just as isolated symbols, but as ingredients interacting in a sealed pressure cooker, it's easy to see why. You start with the unyielding heat of an exalted Mars demanding immediate action. Then, the deeply secretive Scorpio moon seals the lid tightly shut, completely refusing compromise. The polarizing sun and chaotic K2 turn up the heat, making the contents bubble with fanaticism. Finally, Pluto throws in sudden technological shocks, right as karmic Saturn pushes the structural integrity of the entire pot to its absolute breaking point. It's a classic, undeniable setup for sudden escalation and swift retaliation. According to the analysis, this unique configuration triggers an unavoidable chain reaction across unstable regions, and it unfolds in a very specific, rapid four-step sequence. Step 1 is tension, a brutal buildup of diplomatic failures and aggressive posturing. Step 2 is reaction. And this isn't a slow policy shift. It's a fast, kinetic, disproportionate military response driven by Mars. Step 3 is revelation. That reaction forces a sudden, paradigm-shifting unveiling of hidden truths, maybe exposing a secret alliance or deploying a devastating new tech. And finally, Step 4, rupture. The fallout shatters the status quo entirely, resulting in a definitive geopolitical fracture that permanently redraws the map. Ultimately, the source material frames February 28, 2026 as far more than just a fleeting day of crisis. It's viewed as a pivotal node in human history. It's a profound day of truth, where the echoes of the past return with an absolute vengeance. Old unhealed wounds are forcefully ripped open, and long-standing global alliances are severely, perhaps fatally tested. It's a momentous juncture where deeply hidden truths undeniably emerge from the shadows, and the collective destiny of the world drastically accelerates toward its next era. So, the karmic synthesis of this fascinating forecast leaves us with one incredibly powerful thought to ponder. If the state truly acts as a cosmic mirror, forcing a massive historical and ideological reckoning, when the past finally returns to confront us, how will the world choose to react? Will it be through the severed logic and destructive chaos the stars warn of? Or is there a way to consciously navigate this explosive node?